Welcome to John Gets Games, where today I'll be introducing you to Dual Gauge. In this video, I'll be giving you a brief idea about how the game plays, and you can learn more details about it by watching my tutorial where I teach all of the rules while the game is being played. You can find a link to that tutorial in the description of this video. Now, Dual Gauge is a system more than a game, and it usually plays between 3 and 5 players and 60 to 90 minutes. Now, I say system instead of game because every time you play Dual Gauge, you will select one map. The base game comes with 2 maps, and there are expansion maps that can be purchased, and each map is going to have unique mechanics that might change the end game conditions, the player count, the playtime, as well as a variety of other things. Now, in the tutorial, I filmed with the Wisconsin map, which is actually an expansion, but in general, for the dual gauge system, you are going to have each player acting as an investor. They are going to spend their private money buying stocks in these railroad companies, and then each of these companies is going to be running within each of the rounds. Now, the player who has the most stock in a company can control it, and those companies will spend the company money in order to put neutral track down onto the map. And when you lay track down, it can either be narrow gauge or standard, and this is why the game is called dual gauge, because there are two different gauges. Now, these companies are also going to be purchasing their own trains, and then they will be running routes from their stations using these trains as long as they have trains that match the type of gauge that they are running on along the board. After running, the total amount of money will be taken from the various towns and cities that route goes through, and then that will be paid out to the investors based off of who has stocks in that company that just ran. Now, there are certainly more details to how all of this works, but that's the general gist of the operating round. And after every single company has operated, each player will have an opportunity to purchase one new stock in a company. Once that happens, you will go into a new operating round where every single company will once again operate. Now, that is a very high level overview for the game, and I would like to talk a little bit more about these specific maps themselves. This is because the map that you play will definitely alter how that game will go. They have a lot of different things going for them. In the base game, there is a Portugal map, which is essentially a good map to start with. It's a bad idea to put new stations down on the map, and it's a very streamlined way to get into the system. The other map that comes in the base game is Detroit, and this is a tough map where laying track is expensive, but players can have their companies go into debt to get immediate access to capital, although this will hurt the stock price for that company at the end of the game. Now, with the expansion maps, there is Wisconsin as well as Honshu. In Wisconsin, that you'll see in the tutorial, this has some big route bonuses as well as route doublers, so it is all about getting massive runs happening on the board. And the other map is Honshu, which is the opposite. It has a max player count of 4, and it is a very tight system with some expensive investments that players really need to do, otherwise they will lose even more money at the end of the game. Now, this is a general overview about these maps, but as you can see, they will really change how the game plays. And again, you can learn about how all of the details of the overall system works, as well as the Wisconsin map by watching the tutorial that I made, and you can find a link to that in the description of this video.